Hello, and welcome to the Delusional Boyfriend Book Club. My name is Courtney, and I'll be your host. And I'm so happy to be joined again today by Val from Girls, Gays, and Animes.
Hi.
Oh my gosh, and I realize I keep saying girls, gays, and animes, and it's girls, gays, animes, comma, right?
I kind of like I had launched it as girls, gays, and animes, and then I was like, oh my gosh, that's way too many syllables. So I've like slow rolled the like ampersand out of it, and it's just so easy to be like girls, gays, animes.
Gays animes. Well, thank you so much for joining me again today for
Of
our
course.
anime of the month for May, which is Seaside Stranger is going to be the manga's name, but then Stranger by the Shore is the name of the anime, right?
Yes.
And you are a longtime fan of the manga, but you just watched the anime for the first time with me, right?
Yes, I did.
That's so exciting. Thank you for doing this. I just watched it. I literally watched it this morning on the treadmill and I burned 500 calories doing like an
He was like,
incline.
ooh.
Gearing up, like I should not have been at the gym. I had to turn the brightness down for an entire scene so that nobody behind me saw what our main characters were getting up to. Yeah, there was some
And
boy
they're
kissing
boys.
and they're kissing. The manga is written by Ki Kana. Is it
Mhm.
that how you pronounce that? And then the director, I found the director was Akio Ohashi, but you had something to tell me about that.
No, it's funny. So like if you're watching it in its original format, yes, that is correct. But if whenever an anime gets dubbed, there's like a special director that gets associated with the film that's in charge of making sure that the lip syncs line up properly. It's
Okay.
like a specific type of director. It's called an ADR director. I couldn't tell you what the letters mean, but that just means that the lip syncs are like they're in line and they're not lips aren't flapping and continuing going, but like the English has it like stopped. So if you're watching it subbed, yeah, that's the only director. But if you watch it dubbed, David Wald is actually we'll call it the English voice over director.
Okay, that makes so much sense. Of course, there'd be two different directors, right? Different actors. So
Yeah.
that is wonderful. Our tropes today, to jump right in, are going to be tiny little age gap, black cat, golden retriever, and then they
Hmm.
switch, which is one of my favorite tropes. The black cat at the beginning of this is not the black cat at the end of this story. Um, we've also got a younger top
Hmm.
and we've got an older bottom. And we've also got a taller bottom, which is a really fun dynamic because most of the time we see these very stereotypical kind of body standards that are followed as far as like the top being bigger and buffer and older and
Hmm.
more mature. And this story kind of flips that on its head and reminds you that none of our physical appearances ever have much to do with our personal preferences. So those
Right.
stereotypes usually bearing a lot of weight in the real world. So I really like that representation in this. We've got a brunette and a blonde. Can you think of any other tropes that we've got going on here?
I would just say that those are all yes, and I didn't even make the connection about the black cat golden retriever flip, but you're so right because it happens so seamlessly. Also because
Mm-hmm.
of I guess the time gap, it kind
Yep.
of facilitates that. The only other thing I would add would be like family disowned for being gay. Like that's normally like something that gets brought in a lot.
Found family.
Found
Absolutely.
family, yes, that. Hmm.
Yep, for sure. So we've got found family. We have a bisexual awakening again because we do have one character who's canonically bi, and then a
Hmm.
character that is canonically 100% homosexual and not looking to those lines at all. I really love all of these tropes going on. It is a green flag story through and through, and that's really fun. Especially, I think the last one we covered was also super green flag and fluffy, and I have needed a little
Yes.
bit of sugar and a little bit of sweetness. So this is really fun for me.
Yeah.
Um, as far as a spoiler free kind of overview for everybody listening, we have a character living at a boarding house and working there at the restaurant that's attached to it. And he sees another person sitting at a bench at night. And he gets really curious about this person and asks the the lady that they call Auntie who runs the boarding house, do you know who this guy is? And she says, that's Mio. So the one character's name is Shun and the other character's name is Mio. He takes an interest in him. And from there, our story kind of unfolds. When he first meets him, he is younger. He goes away for a few years. And when he returns, they're both of age and kind of ready to explore their feelings for each other. So if that sounds interesting to you guys and you like the tropes that we're talking about, definitely go watch this. It's a 50-minute animation, so it's very low investment, and the payout, the reward is really high. Emotionally, visually, it's stunning. So if this sounds like something you're interested in, I really do encourage you to go watch it before you spoil the rest of this for yourself.
Yes, absolutely.
And then Val, do you want to take us through the movie? I've already watched it twice today. To like get into all the goods.
Yeah, so I'm gonna try to not. As I'm going through this, I want to like compare like the movie to the manga, but I think I'll just do the movie first, and then I'll kind of interject. So the movie itself, it like starts off the brunette character Mio. His mother passes, so he's mourning, and that's kind of where you get that like black cat dynamic at the beginning. He's 17. Yeah, he's 17 at the beginning. The other character, Shun, he's the blonde golden retriever type at the beginning. Like, oh, I'm going to go talk to this guy. He's like kind of cute. Let me flirt with him. The very end, he finally is telling him like, oh yeah, I do like you. But he's nervous the whole time because he's got trauma, which you find out about later.
For sure. Internalized homophobia is both a trope and a trigger warning, maybe we should have mentioned, because that does play a big role in this character's development.
It plays a huge role in like 3/4 of the movie.
Absolutely. It's like a lot of the drama.
Yeah, like their love would have bloomed so much faster if it weren't for that aspect of it. Because it was really him holding himself back because of that. The entire time he's really just like, no, like Mio, you've been with a woman, you're bi, like you should just go be with a woman. It's going to be easier for you. Why would you be with me? Like, why would you be gay? It's going to make your life difficult. Don't do that. Meanwhile, Mio's like, because I like you. Like, I don't want a girlfriend. I don't want to be with a woman. I want to be with you. That's why I came back. So again, he leaves when he's 17 and Shun's like, call me. And he's like, okay. He leaves, never calls him. He comes back when he's 20. So now they're both of age. It's 20 and 27.
Is it that big of an age gap? I did not realize. I thought that, oh my gosh, I'm like blushing because that's so much worse than I thought. I thought this was like 17 and 20 in the first scene because he basically, so he's living at a boarding house.
I'll double check, but I'm pretty sure.
You might be totally right. So Shun is living at a boarding house and he sees this guy who's only 17 and he goes over and talks to him. He gives him some free bread. And initially Mio is rude to him and says, you're being creepy, get away from me. And he really takes that to heart and goes away. But I wasn't thinking so much like the age was creeping him out. I thought he was just irritated that this guy was keeping an eye on him. But if you're 17 and this is a 24-year-old, that's a whole nother story.
Yeah, so I was just gonna say that at the beginning, it's like it's kind of weird because the older guy, like he has a crush on this little dude. He thinks he's cute. Maybe he doesn't know how old he is unless Auntie told him. We don't know. It doesn't really go into that. They don't. To your point, they don't explicitly state the ages. Like I googled them because I didn't know. But I will add that I do like that he's like, okay, go be your person and then come back. And so when he comes back, he is of age. So he got to go out and be separate from this and decide during that time, like who he was and who he wanted to be and who he wanted to be with. And so when he came back as a 20-year-old, it was like, if it had started at the beginning and they were just like, yeah, let's do this, icky. But he really did like go, there was like no grooming because you see they really only interact like once before Mio was like, I'm out of here.
Absolutely. And there's nothing kind of nefarious going on. There just seems to be a little bit of a attraction towards each other. They're both curious what the other one is up to. They're not actually making any moves on each other. And you do see that Mio is in a school uniform. So you assume he's in school where Shun is of working age. But yeah, there's not this really explicit, it's not like has a graying beard. There's not a super explicit age difference. And I do think As far as second chance romances go with an age gap, if there is an age gap, it is absolutely necessary that, if they know each other as children, or, as a teen and a child, or as an adult and a teen, that nothing happens during that
They
time
didn't even
of
touch.
life.
Like they like sat next to each
Exactly.
other on a bench, and that's the closest they got.
Yeah, I think they, for 1 second, like, touch hands,
Okay, yeah.
but that is, like, that's okay. That there's something for them to feel a spark to return to years later. But I do
Right.
think that age gap for me is one of my favorite tropes, but it only works if they either meet when they're both adults, or if it's a second chance romance where they knew each other in adolescence, and then time goes by and the younger one has a chance to find themselves, like you said,
Mm-hmm.
and mature and grow up, and then revisit this thought of, oh, do I still have feelings for that person? Have I not been able to get them off my mind? With absolutely no gray area where anyone could feel any grooming going on. And I do
Mm-hmm.
think that this story did it perfectly. The two meet each other, they run into each other in town, they go their separate ways, and it's so
Yep.
sad. Mio is leaving the island to go to an orphanage, which is
Mm-hmm.
so sad. We learn that his mother died and he has nobody. So he
Yep.
goes to the mainland to live in an orphanage, and then returns 3 years later, um, with really only that one little spark to go off of. I think were they writing each other in the meantime?
I don't think so. I think he just like left and he was like, "Oh, I'll call you," but I think my guy like never got a cell phone.
There was only one shot of a postcard that Shun is using as a bookmark in his book,
Oh.
and it shows a translation. And I only noticed it because I watched it like twice in a very short period of time. But it said, "Congratulations on being accepted into your program," or something like that. So it looked like maybe one had sent the other one a postcard in the meantime, a small amount of communication like that, just in a friendly, neighborly manner.
I don't know because we know from the beginning that Shun is a novelist. And
Hmm.
so I don't know like what program like he would have been getting into unless he thought about writing a postcard and sending it to Mio and then just not doing it and that's why he was using it. I don't know. But we
Or
don't
maybe
to your point we don't explicitly know that they were communicating at all while he was gone.
For sure. And I guess I kind of took it as like he got a book accepted into something, or he got accepted
Oh,
into
okay.
a writer's residency or a program like that. But there is, yeah, one close up on this postcard that makes it seem like they could maybe have just acknowledged that the other one still exists from wherever they are in the world in the meantime, but definitely no flirtation, nothing like that going on.
Right. Sorry, I'm looking through my book because I'm trying to for some reason I thought he went to like live with an aunt, but maybe it was an orphanage.
In the anime, they say orphanage, and I'm just like,
Oh.
at 17, just live
Oh no,
with
I
Shun.
found the postcard. The story he wrote had a story he had written won a prize. And
Okay.
the postcard literally just said congratulations on it, and that's it.
That is like the I really do think this story does it
Yeah.
because there's nothing weird in that. It's like he could have seen that his story won a prize in the newspaper and just
Right.
written back knowing the address of that boarding house. Super innocuous, super innocent. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that's done really well, and it does show how after 3 years they might still be keeping an eye on where the other one is, kind of like you'd maybe
Yeah.
stalk someone's Facebook to see if they've gotten married or not.
Yeah. So, yeah, because there's no like computers or anything in this that I could see. To wrap up, like because that's kind of like the gist of the movie. I'll add that because this is the not spoiler free section, so there are spoilers. But basically, Shun's ex fiance comes to visit, and there's like some drama there, and she's trying to get him to come back to be with his family because his parents are dying, and then specifically his dad. But then Mio was feeling a certain way about it because Mio, who is an orphan, is like watching this like guy who he loves decide that he's like, no, I don't want to see my family before they pass. And he's like, hey, get your head out of your ass. Like your friend slash ex fiance is like trying to like help you. Stop being mean to her. So that was really funny. But the last scene where the ex-fiance is like, just kiss me and I'll get over you, the way I was like, he better not. And then, like, when I was reading it too, because I obviously knew it was going to happen when I was watching the movie, right? But I was like, ooh, if he even thinks about it, he takes that one step and Mio jumps in and he's like, nope, not in my house. And I was just like, yes, go off.
So funny the character growth for both of these characters, because Mio in the beginning, he kind of is standoffish, pushing away Shun, and when he comes back to the island, he's so clear about his feelings. He confesses his feelings. They live in the same boarding house, and Shun now is almost like in disbelief that this person came back for him, has feelings for him, and won't let the relationship progress until that ex-fiance comes back into the picture. And
Mm-hmm.
I oftentimes in BL we get the girl best friend or an ex or somebody who makes the characters jealous, and that is the catalyst for them to take the next step and dive
Mm-hmm.
deeper into their feelings for each other. And I thought it was really well done because yeah, our black cat at the beginning of the story, Mio, goes away, grows up, comes back to the island, and now he's the golden retriever who just wants this person's affection. And Shun, who at the beginning was dying for this attention, turned out to be kind of scared of the attention, scared of the commitment, and is doing all of the pushing away. And finally, this girl character comes in to say there's, more important things in life
Mm-hmm.
than sitting around writing your stories. I get that your career is important, but if you don't take family seriously and you don't take love seriously, what are you going to have at the end of the day?
Right.
And Mio has lost his mother and he knows the importance of family. And so we have that found family trope of them deciding that they love each other and they're going to support each other, and also deciding that that's not enough, that you still have to grow your support system in your community and take care of the people in your life. And
Mm-hmm.
they take care of auntie, they grow their family. My favorite characters in this whole movie were the lesbian couple who
Oh my
also
god, me too. Me too.
this lesbian couple that also lives at the boarding house. So they all take care of each other. But at the end of the day, Mio pressures. He's the younger one. He is less mature, and he's still the one to pressure Shun and say, you need to take care of your family. If they're dying, it's your job to go be by their bedside. Otherwise, when they're gone, you'll never see them again. And
Mm-hmm.
we can see that that care is the same kind of care they'll have for each other throughout their life. And that is really special. This that the two of them value the people in their lives as much as they do. Even that girl, that ex-girlfriend who comes into the picture, you can tell she's still going to stay part of the story, and that they'll take care of her and befriend her and make sure she's taken care of too. And that kiss that you're talking about, right, as she's about to leave town, she asks Shun, can I have one kiss? You've never kissed me. So it seems like they've slept together, but he never kissed her.
Right. That was the
Which,
vibe that I caught too. And
oh
I
my
was
gosh,
like,
tragic for her.
yikes.
Her whole storyline was tragic because she just
Honestly,
loved
yes. Yeah.
she loved him. It's completely unrequited, and she
From
is,
like childhood.
yeah, from a super young age she has realized that he's gay, and also that because of who he is, she's gonna love him forever. And
Mm-hmm.
that's both sweet and heartbreaking. uh,
It's also hard because like she seemed super supportive of who he was or who he
mhm.
is, sorry. But at the same time, like it's so hard to be like, oh well, maybe it's hard to imagine like being that person that she is that's saying like, oh, but maybe he isn't gay. Maybe he would be straight for me. And so what I the manga, she's not as like sweet in the manga, I'll say. Like she definitely comes across like more hateable in the manga. She does have her redeeming moments too, but that's just to say that like there's such a weird piece of that because she obviously does care, but there's still that like selfish piece of it where it's like you know that he's not into women, like not even you, and if he were going to be into you, like you had so much time like for him to decide if you wanted to, you're holding on, you've been holding on for so long, girl, come
She
on.
wants him to give her this thing, like she can give him this unconditional love, and she wants a bite of that back in return, and he doesn't, there is conditions for his love, and that's that he's gay. He will only love a man, and whether or not she can let that go, he cannot let that go. And I love, so at the very end she asks for a kiss. She goes, will you kiss me? It will be the closure that I need. And Mio sees that he's going to do it as this like one last goodbye, and Mio steps in and kisses her, and she is so mad. And in the story, Mio goes,
Yes.
sorry, Shun might have been okay with it, but I'm not. I'm still young and possessive. And I thought that was so cute. Like it's so it's self-acknowledging to be like that. I
Mm-hmm.
know this might be seen as toxic, but you are not going to touch my man. I don't care if you're both grown and you think a kiss is just a kiss. Like, I am horrified that you guys would do that in front of me. And then he slapped Shun for doing it, for even thinking
Yeah.
doing it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that might be a little toxic to other people, but for me, I fully expect somebody, a man or a woman, to stand up for themselves if they're
Mm-hmm.
about to be disrespected right in front of their face or behind their back.
Honestly,
Absolutely
yeah.
not.
So like there's so many. I was I was surprised. So I'll say this movie was just volume one. So
Yeah.
every bit of volume one was comprehended in the 50 or so minutes of the movie. And the way that we get at the beginning, obviously, like they're meeting, and then he splits up, and then he goes and he grows, and he comes back, and then they start to talk again, and then it's like, oh no, I'm dealing with internal stuff, like you go be with a woman, and then the ex comes back, and then the whole time Mio is like, hey, let's consummate this, and Shun's just like, no, seriously, go be with a woman. He's like, no, really, I want to be with you. And then they eventually consummate, and it's just like there's so much story packed into this. I was so
I
surprised that they did it so well.
it makes me really wish that they would animate the next volume. Like, if we got this, and it is a perfect story in 50 minutes, it doesn't need a second. It doesn't need
No.
a second movie, but I would absolutely take a second movie, and I will keep secretly praying for it because these characters were really lovable. The voice acting was really good. And it is fun to see a BL anime where I'm so used to like the manga format or the manhwas being explicit and showing that next step in a relationship. And it's nice to have an anime that doesn't completely exclude that shows it. And it's not, the actual visuals are not explicit, but it does allude directly to the fact that they are having sex. And
Mm-hmm.
they talk about who is going to bottom and who's going to be the top. They talk about preparation. You even
Mm-hmm.
the unholy bottle of lotion. I don't know if it's a translation thing, but every time I see in one of these BLs a bottle of lotion that says lotion instead of lube, I cringe. My skin crawls. What do you mean lotion? You should not be putting lotion in any of your orifices.
Oh
Lube
my
is
god,
lube.
how have I've never, like, I read a lot. I've never seen that. What? Like,
It's all of
your
the
attention to
time.
detail is phenomenal because I've never.
Things will take me out of the story like that. With the anime of the month a couple months ago was Yes, No, or Maybe, and it shows this huge bottle of lotion on the anime, and I'm just like, lotion, do you know how bad that would burn just from a realistic standpoint? And then
Right.
all of the romance novels that we're reading for the reverse harem romance novels of the month, they never mention lube once. And there is somebody in every hole, and there's no warm up. And I'm just like, there should be mention of lube. And my co-host Princess, she's just like, that's
Mm-hmm.
so unsexy. It's so unromantic. And I'm like, actually, as a manga reader and a manhwa reader and a BL reader, there is oftentimes lube, and when it's left out, I always wonder like, oh, that you just be bleeding and screaming in pain. So it takes me out of the story when the correct preparation isn't used. But definitely in this anime, it shows a bottle and it says soft lotion, which I'm like, maybe that's like a
Could be a
weird
translate thing. Yeah.
it could be a translated thing. But he totally like talks about taking a shower beforehand, and he
Mm-hmm.
talks about stretching himself out, and it is like that. all of that I think is really nice to see. Obviously, for anybody who's looking to have these kinds of relationships, having some kind of accurate depiction in media is helpful. And it's nice to see people talk about it openly and not
Mm-hmm.
feel shame around that conversation, not leaving out details that the other person would need to know in order to do this correctly and comfortably and with a level of like pleasure and not pain. So I
They
thought
even
that
have they even a conversation at the beginning where he's like, "Hey, like, are you gonna be okay being on top?" And he was like, "I can be on the bottom." He's like, "No, no, no. I just wanted to make sure because I'm the bottom." And
I
he
am
was
a
like, "Oh,
bottom.
okay."
And he even says, Shun says both that he's a bottom and that he's never had sex with a man before. So he knows about himself and he is
Right.
sure of himself in a way that I think is really impressive. To know what you want and to know how to ask for what you want and how to tell
Mm-hmm.
someone how to do that are all really key important factors in an intimate relationship. And I think that goes to show what a green flag story this is. And I do think, as far as like coming of age when you're 20, if this is your first partner and you're looking to be with that person forever, you have to have these conversations. And so, as an anime watcher, I was really impressed because definitely there's a lot of anime out there, and very rarely do you see anyone brave enough to show this kind of reality. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that it was unique, it was special, and it was done super well.
Mm-hmm. I agree. It was also surprising from the story perspective to see how bad Shun's communication was when he was like going through his feels. Like he wasn't coming forward and saying like, "Hey, like it's not accepted in society and I had bad experiences in high school," which we get some flashbacks to. And so I think your life, like he doesn't go into all of that detail. He's just like, "Hey, it'll be easy for you. Go get a girlfriend." But then once his brain shifts, I feel like once he's accepted Mio's feelings and his own, well, and accepted Mio's feelings as Mio's feelings, not just like his projection or what he thinks he wants, whatever, then like you see that kind of communication shift and you see it in their first like intimate moment where he like really allows himself to accept Mio and accept his feelings, and then like yeah, their communication just blasts off after that.
I think there's also a correlation to his writing, because when he is in this really angsty vibe where he's dealing with his trauma from high school. So basically, he had a, friends in high school and bullies in high school who all pinned him as gay and clocked him, and he heard them talking about how they hoped that he wouldn't hit on him, and all of that has stuck with him throughout his life and made him nervous to ruin relationships and friendships with other people and make any moves on somebody of the same gender. So we see him struggling with all of that. And when Mio comes back to town, he is not able to communicate effectively with Mio. And he's also
Mm-hmm.
having this writer's block, and he's late to writing. And you see a bunch of crumpled up pieces of paper thrown
Mm-hmm.
at the trash can. And as they start to sort that out, it seems like his writing also takes off a little bit as well. And it shows how once you start to work through your problems and untangle that mess in your brain, everything else starts to fall into place. But when you're refusing to deal with your inner turmoil, life is a struggle, and it will always be a struggle. And maybe that also has to do with his family, the fact that he can't address his trauma with being completely cut off from his family on the mainland. And once Mio helps him face those struggles, helps him face his internalized homophobia, suddenly life starts to get easier and the writing starts to get easier.
Mm-hmm.
I thought all of that was really beautiful and realistic. I do think when you have those inner demons, they find their way into every area of your life, and you can be that happy golden retriever from the beginning of this story once you conquer your fears and look your demons in the face and get over them.
It's so crazy to me too how like okay, when he and Mio finally get together, he's 27. So his like high school trauma weighed on him so much that even though he was gay, he had never been with a man until he turned 27.
That's so tough. And like being a virgin forever. I mean, we have cherry magic, 30 years of virginity makes you a wizard, but there is
Totally different virgin story.
totally different virgin story. But like, I don't know if it's a cultural thing, but there's nothing wrong with maintaining your virginity into adulthood. That was not me. Your girl was 15 and finding a lot of trouble for herself. But in these stories, they oftentimes hold on to that for a little bit longer. And I know that he had sex with a woman, but part of me was glad that Shun didn't just go to a brothel and hook up with a random guy. I know it's sad because it was because of all these problems he couldn't face, but I am happy that his first time with another man was with Mio, because Mio treated him with so much care and was so enthusiastic about it, and gave him exactly what he asked for. And that moment was really special. And then afterwards, where they're eating the shrimp tempura and drinking soda, is just so wholesome. And a lot of the time in Japanese media, we see a brothel come into a BL where somebody just heads over to a brothel. And sex work is real work, but oftentimes those experiences are not very romantic. And I really loved that Shun got his full romance, where somebody waited years for him, came back for him, chased him, really put their intentions out there that he was the only one that they wanted. And that was his first time with a man. And that's really, I mean, if you're going to wait till you're 27, I'm glad that you waited for that person. I think that's really special.
It's a super sweet story, honestly. Like, I think my only complaint is that there's so much more feeling in the manga. Like, we get to see more of their like train of thought, where if you're going to do a read watch comparison, watch first. Because I had read first, so I had more background, and so I'm watching it and I'm expecting to get more information, and I'm not getting it. Where if you watch it and you enjoy it, then when you go to read, you get like little bonus info and like, a little bit more detail that way. I think I would have liked it more had I watched it first. But
it's 50 minutes, like 50 minutes, it seems like they might have rushed through some stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So, but to your point though, like I had bought, I've only read volume 1 of this. I haven't read the whole series because honestly, you made a comment earlier about how like, oh, you can just watch the movie and like, yeah, I would like another like season or episode or whatever, but it's so buttoned up. And I felt that way when I read this. Like I read volume 1 and I was like, weird that a one shot has a 1 on it. And then I was like, no, this is a series, just because it buttons up so well, like the movie does, and the manga does too. Like the manga ends with Mio, they like decide that they're gonna leave the island and go visit his parents and stuff, and so Mio goes to visit the flowers on the beach, which his mom planted, and he's like, I'm gonna go take care, Mom. And his like his mom's hat that he wears sometimes flies off. Shun catches it and he goes, oh, I got it. And he goes, okay. And then like they go, let's go. And then it's just like, the wind blowing on the beach. And that's like the last page. And I'm like, wow, that was a good story.
Done. Chef's kiss. That's all you need. In the anime, that moment when his hat blows off, Shun catches Mio's hat, and because he's basically like, bye mom, bye dad, I'm going to go to the mainland. I'm going to live my life. And his hat blows off, and you kind of feel like that gust of wind was maybe his parents telling him to go and live his life. And then Shun catches the hat and he goes, I've got it, Mio. I've got you. And you're like, he got you. You guys have each other. You're going to be okay. You guys have finally found one another. And when Shun does decide to go back to the mainland to take care of his family, at first you don't know if they're going to stay together, because Mio is like, okay, I'm going to be fine here on the island. You go deal with your family. It's okay. And Shun has to grab his courage, collect his courage and say, Mio, I cannot be without you. I want you to come with me. Please come with me. I can't do this without you.
That's what I meant. Like the communication opens up. Like once he accepted it, like he's like, oh wait, I can just say what I'm feeling.
And he even thinks it in the anime. He says something like, just get it out. Say what you're trying to say. And then he says, Mio, will you please go with me? And Mio's like, I'm so happy you asked, because I wasn't going to come until you asked me. And I was waiting for you to ask me. There's no way I want to be without you for as long as it takes for this family matter to be wrapped up. I can't be away from your side.
Yeah. it really is so sweet. And that's why I say, like, if you're gonna do it, you get so much more of that like emotion. Like, even though, like you said, the director did an amazing job, you get to see more. I'm like autistic, so things have to be spelled out to me. So like being able to like read their thoughts versus having to like read between the lines and like understand like feelings that I'm watching is harder. You also get to see more of the lesbian couple, so like bouncing those like, oh, why are you being stupid, say what you mean, blah 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 moments. Those all happen like via communication in here, and so you get to see more of that other couple that's really cute and sweet. I also, I peeked again, and it had been a while since I read it, so I was like flipping through trying to refresh my memory on some stuff like while we've been chatting, and Mio like does give him a little cheek smooch before he leaves. But that was it, and then the next like panel is like him getting the card that says congratulations, and like the pinky touch hands, but that's it. Because I know
And he,
earlier I was like, oh, they don't touch, but like I wanted to let people know that like there's a surprise cheek smooch.
and he is trying to apologize because he does call Shun creepy. And
Yeah.
I didn't realize you were trying to flirt with me. I thought you were just being I thought you were an adult who was being nosy, who knew that I was orphaned
Yeah.
and who was just trying to butt in on my business. But if I knew you were
Right.
trying to flirt with me, I would have told you I don't mind that at all. I actually like that you flirted with me. And
Mm-hmm.
at the end, Shun, they have their night where they hook up together. And then he says, Mio, I feel bad. I feel like I haven't done anything for you. And Mio goes,
Yeah.
oh, you look great back there in bed. And he's like, I'm not talking about in bed. I'm talking about
Stupid.
how you've helped me grow
Yeah.
as a person. And Mio says, oh, you helped me too. I thought that I only loved women. And by the time I met you and realized that I could love a man, I knew that
Mm-hmm.
everything was going to be okay. And I knew that I found the person I wanted to be with forever. And that was really sweet because it does show you that Mio's life was changed in that moment where when Shun approached him, that act of bravery on Shun's part of just being
Mm-hmm.
curious and introducing himself was Mio's moment of like, somebody noticed me and didn't notice me as like a little orphan kid, but actually wants to get to know me. And so a little hand touch, a little kiss on the cheek, it's again super innocuous, super innocent, and it does confirm that there's some spark there to go back for once
Yeah.
he's done growing up.
Yep. So, I mean, it's so good. Like I love the back and forth. It's like it's clear that Mio's younger because he's constantly like egging Shun on, like, hey, like, can we sleep together now? Can we do it now? Can we do it now? And at first, I was like, man, is this just because he's in his feels? But I'm like, well, maybe a piece of it was because he hadn't been with anyone before, and he was nervous, and so it was kind of cute to like think back on that and be like, oh wait, while there probably was a little bit of like, no, I've been taught to believe that this is gross, but also the like nervousness of it being his first time with someone else, right?
For sure. And I think that that age difference, I think it's beautiful to show that Mio is younger and maybe a little bit more experienced. And also, as far as life goes, he's had the trauma of losing both of his parents.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, he seems a little bit more experienced sexually, and he seems a little bit more experienced as far as life wisdom goes. And he's
Mm-hmm.
able to teach somebody who is maybe even 7 years older than him how to go about those things, you know, I don't with less baggage, how to just approach things for the first time without being so afraid. And both of them really do help teach the other one about themselves and about who they want to be as they go on in life. And Mio says at one point to his ex-fiance, to Shun's ex-fiance, he says, I don't want to hold him back. If he doesn't choose me forever, then that has to be okay. And I see that you love him, and I'm sorry that he didn't choose you because that would break my heart too. But both of us have to let him become the person he's going to be. If he
Mm-hmm.
chooses to take care of his family, if he chooses to be with a man, if he chooses
Mm-hmm.
to leave me and go find somebody else, we have to
Yeah.
support that. And I felt like that support, that unconditional support from Mio, especially as a 20-year-old, that's really special and shows that if you love a person, you'll make yourself grow up and treat them the way they deserve to be treated, regardless of if you've ever been in that situation before. And that's just so fluffy and green flag to do it right the first
Yes.
time. I
Yeah,
really love that.
it was
So
such a good story.
such a good story. So are you going to collect the rest of them, or are you going to stay with volume one as your head canon version?
It's okay, so I guess so for the folks who tuned into the episode for the anime, switching to like a little bit of the manga talk. So there's 6 volumes out total right now.
Mm-hmm.
I upon further research, I found that they are going to release a 7th volume, but not until November of next year.
2026?
Yeah.
Doesn't that feel like there's something else going on in the works then, if they're taking that long for one volume?
Like they're not even opening pre-orders for it until February. At like whatever site I'm finding.
That's
So
crazy. I wonder if it's going to be the finale.
yeah, I mean, like I said, I can't speak to what volume 6 has, but for the folks who've been following the story for a while, volume 1 was released in July of 2021. Then February of 2022 is when volume 2 released. Then like a couple months later, then they followed a normal release cadence for the 3rd, 4th, and 5th volumes. So by December of 2022, 5 volumes were out. Like people on Reddit were like, "Hey, is it over?" Like I guess it seemed like it wasn't quite there.
Mm-hmm.
March of 2024, volume 6 comes out. Like they finally get volume 6, and then now 2 years after that, they're going to release the 7th volume.
That's wild. That's a really weird pattern. And then, wait, are you telling me that the first volume didn't get released until 2021?
Mm-hmm.
Because didn't this anime come out in 2020?
Ooh, good question.
I think it did, because I looked it up before this, which would mean that they didn't have an English physical release until after they put the anime out. And then the anime must have just been so popular that they were like, push the translation physicals right now.
Yeah, so the manga was originally released in Japan in July of 2013.
Okay.
So that's like, but to your point, like the translation, but yeah, September of 2020 is when the anime came out. So they likely translated the anime first. Then after it grew in popularity, they were like, shoot, we should push the manga.
Wow. So
So
if this isn't finished in Japanese, then it's been going on for over a decade in Japanese, which is a super long standing series. And like, that's always my favorite series, is ones that have like a huge well. So maybe we're going to get even more than 7 volumes, which would be
yeah, that's
very.
crazy. So volume 1 is The Stranger by the Shore, or it says Seaside Stranger on here, but in Japan it specifically is The Stranger by the Beach, or
Okay.
Seaside Stranger Volume 1. But then like when you get to like the 2 through 6, it's got like a different post tag line on it, on like in the Japanese listing of the volume. So all those release dates I listed earlier, those are the English release dates, but even still, like in Japan, it first released July of 2014, and the 6th volume didn't come out until October of 2022.
That's crazy. That the artist, author, I mean, they're putting in a lot of work on this story. And oftentimes these
Mm-hmm.
mangaka will just move on to another series. They'll give you 3 or 4 volumes and then have several different series. So I wonder if this author has any other notable series. This has to be their main body of work. I mean, how can you do more than all of this in the
Apparently
last
this was received really well in Japan, actually, when it first came out. I'm reading that it was ranked number 5 on the list of recommended BL series on a
Wow.
survey of different bookstore employees nationwide across Japan.
Did you watch The Skullface Bookseller or read it?
No.
You have to
Should
watch it.
I?
In anime, and it's about all of these characters have really funny character designs, but it's a guy, it was written by a guy who ran a bookstore in Japan, and his character is a skull. He's like a
I've
skeleton.
seen this. I've seen the manga for it. Yeah.
It's so funny because they have a whole episode on BL and how people walk into a bookstore asking for the BL, looking specific for specific tropes for bigger, beefier tops or beefier bottoms. And it is such a, he calls them, these like Americans come in and he goes, oh, the yaoi girls from overseas. And he starts sweating and he's like, let me get you your books. And he brings them over.
I feel like I've seen a clip of that somewhere. It feels like such a canon event.
But I can just imagine the skull-faced bookseller being like, have you read The Seaside Stranger? This is the one I recommend.
Right. Oh my gosh, he would.
It's
oh
and
my gosh.
I was always, I think, a little confused because the rating says 17 plus, but the books are wrapped in plastic. So I was curious how much spice was really in these, but it seems to have hit this super great balance between being realistic and wholesome and cute and just enough spice in there to be progress the relationship along without being like vulgar, I guess, or overdoing the spice. But I'm really interested to rip these open and see what the balance actually is. But if it was that well received, it must be palatable for a majority of audiences.
I'm looking at this line that says, let me touch you inside, and then I'm watching a finger split some cheeks, so...
So the books get into it. Oh my God. I'm like...
Okay, now that you mentioned the lotion, I do, like, there's 3 panels of him, like, squirting lotion onto his hand, and then Mio reaches over him, grabs the lotion, then squirts lotion onto his hand, but it squeezes like toothpaste.
That's lotion. And anybody listening right now thinking about doing what you do in a BL, you cannot be using lotion. Just like you'd never put that in the front pocket, don't put it in your back pocket.
Oh my God.
It's so upsetting to me whenever I see that. I'm just like, yeah, why don't you use icy hot while you're at it? Like,
it looks like he's squeezing a tube of toothpaste, but then the next scene where he's using the toothpaste, it looks liquid. So don't know how that happened.
Have you ever like gotten a back massage with lotion and then the lotion starts to pill? Like it starts to like roll. That's all I can imagine. It just feels so gross and greasy to me. Like just use lube. Everybody in the world. If you're going to write a smutty romance, have lube present and call it lube. Don't call it lotion. Nobody needs lotion in this.
Oh my God. Okay, wait. I had a thought earlier and you're on a roll, so I'll let you go, but I was going to circle back now that we're back talking to lube again. How your friend had said that like it ruins the mood to talk about lube, but whenever I'm reading like especially a manhwa, because you never see them like doing that, but then like the next scene, like things are wet and I'm like, okay, lube was used. I just like with how wet things get, I usually just assume there's lube, but I'm like, they don't have to show them using it. We know it's not, nothing's gonna be that wet naturally, so they're obviously using it.
My friend George at my bachelorette trip, my gay friend George, I had bought a bunch of BL manga in London on our way over to Greece for my bachelorette. My friend George is there. He's looking at my BLs and he's like, oh my God, what is this? And one of them was about a dentist and his husband is a dentist. And I was like, you can just have that one. It looks like it was made for you. And we start to talk because he's flipping through it and he's seeing all this squelching. And he's like,
yeah,
how are they so wet? He's like, my biggest pet peeve is when a guy says, ooh, I'm wet for you. Because what are you talking about? Shit. And I was like, just look at the panels. It'll show lube. Like it will show lube.
Yeah.
They're dripping with lube. And if it's an Omega verse, then that's like a whole nother
story. Different anatomy.
Yeah. A whole nother story. But if there is any sound effects, if there's any squelching, any move, anything
there's
going
implied
on,
lube.
There better be lube there because there's only one other answer for what that could be, and it is not sexy. So it never takes me out of the story to hear lube. It takes me out of the story to have absolutely no mention of it. And honestly, to be quite frank, sometimes the lube and the preparation is like the hottest part because it's like so intimate and so, I don't know, like even if it's not gentle, it's like this moment where one person's taking care of the other one before
it's the vulnerability involved.
A lot of vulnerability, and it is foreplay. Like it is foreplay where they're getting each other ready for the final act. And I guess maybe in the books we're reading are reverse harems. And she's like, well, it's just not sexy. You can't think about it. I'm like, well, if they're putting it in a woman, that's fine. You can omit the lube if you want to. But two of those guys are hooking up with each other. And it absolutely like, and usually they're having a gay awakening. They've never been with a man before. And you want to tell me he just took a D the size of a baguette for the first time? No lube, no stretching. That is just not realistic. And had he had a scene where you saw him getting ready for that, I think that is sexy. It shows like a man going through what women go through, which is like setting aside your pride and being like, okay, I'm going to let you enter me. I'm going to let you do this to me.
Yeah.
In order to get that done in a comfortable manner, we have to do X, Y, and Z to get ready for it. And I don't know, the realism of that is sexy to me. So I like when it's mentioned. I just hate when the wrong thing is used. If there's a guy on Instagram who he kind of broke the internet for a second because he got after the women who are writing MM. And he was like, if you're going to write an MM romance novel, do not use olive oil for the back door. That's crazy. This isn't 2000. This is 2025, and lube is available it's available everywhere, and it's the only thing you should be using. And it's the only thing you should be writing about. He's like, if you and your straight romance want to use shampoo or conditioner or whipped cream as lube, go ahead and do that for yourselves, but do not act like two men can get away with that, because it's not possible. It's not realistic. And it is like, this is fiction, this is fantasy, but that's crazy town. And I absolutely agree. I like it to be representative of what would actually happen in a real world scenario. And anybody who hasn't gotten to experience a relationship like that they're hoping to experience, I hope they don't see hand lotion and bring that on their third date with the guy, because that's going to be a massive mistake. Getting lotion up your pee hole is not the emergency room visit you want to have with somebody who you're hooking up with for the first time. It's just like, that's insane to me.
Oh my gosh. Wait, on that topic, do you know if this mangaka is
a woman or a man?
Mm-hmm.
I do not. And oftentimes, I mean, the name
Googling it now.
I want to bet that it's a woman, but it feels
usually
it feels like a woman who's done their research and is trying to be realistic and representative of the demographic they're writing about, and not just painting a fantasy for women.
Okay.
Which I love a fantasy. I love fiction because you can do whatever you want with it. But if it takes you out of the story, you've defeated the purpose. And using whipped cream or olive oil is going to take me out of the story.
Yeah, the mangaka is a woman.
And 90% of the time they are women. And I think 90% of the time MM romance novels are women. And that's not to say that writers of any gender can't write any romance line that they want to. I would say that a little bit of research is helpful. If you don't have the lived experience of what is going to go down between the sheets between these two guys, if you haven't tried that as a woman, at least look into it and write about it in a way that feels informed, because being uninformed in any kind of writing is just a little lazy.
I'll say, I mean, and not even just in the intimate part. Like I've read a lot of like normal, I don't want to say normal. I've read a lot of heteronormative manga as well. And I think what's the name of the one? Basically, anytime like a disability, like a physical disability is involved, a lot of times the mangaka for that genre or that specific manga, I'm trying to think, what was it? Perfect World. And in that one, the male lead is in a wheelchair. He like suffered I think like a spinal injury, but at the end, like it goes through, and she's the manga is like thanking all of the people that were involved in like the research, all of the different like groups and organizations. And so like I don't personally know what that's like. And so when I'm reading it, like I assume that to be truthful, but it's nice to hear like at the end and to know how much research and care went into accurately representing a story of these people and like what their lives would actually be like in Japan or wherever they are.
That's the same thing for A Sign of Affection with the
yes, that was the other one.
The Japanese sign language, where it's like right at the end they say, I didn't make this up. I'm not trying to write from a a disabled person's perspective without doing research on how to accurately
Yeah.
represent that. And here is how I did my research and who helped me
Mm-hmm.
with it. And honestly, I hope that these mangaka have done their research and asked a real gay man or tried the act out for themselves in order to see what goes into it, because it's all fun and salacious until somebody's hoping for accurate representation, and then it's kind of nice to have those details be in there. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to say that I think that in this story, when it says lotion, I think that's a translation error. I think
Wait till you see the toothpaste.
no, god damn it. That's so,
It's so funny.
nothing that would get me to zip my pants up faster than somebody pulling out like a bottle of Aveeno lotion. Like, sir, what are you going to do with that?
And your elbows ashy? What's going on?
Yeah, do you need with your eczema or
right. I was going to bring up one thing way earlier, and so I'm going to circle back before we wrap up, but I had mentioned that David Wald was the English director. If you are listening now, but you haven't listened to the episode where we talk about I Ship Me and My Rival, or My Rival and Me, I talk about David Wald, and I couldn't remember his name, but he is the voice actor for Adam in Escape the Infinity.
okay.
Except for the last episode, the latest episode that came out, he's not Adam in that. So if you hear a voice shift, there was a voice shift in that. But that's because of all of the like different allegations that are going on with Crunchyroll right now. But he is a huge advocate for LGBTQ plus rights. And like it's all over his Twitter, and he does bunches, like tons of events and stuff. He's just overall a really great human, which is so funny because he plays Adam, right? Which I would not classify, right? But he was the ADR director for a lot of the older BL animes that we have now. So he did Love Stage. It says he served as the ADR for Sentai Filmworks dubs of Yuri and Yaoi titles, including Love Stage, Bloom Into You, Kase-san and Morning Glories, but then also Hitorohime My Hero. He also did, so he's done all of the like directing for the English dubs of all of those, plus also some like non-Yuri and Yaoi titles like the Case Study of Vanitas and stuff like that, in addition to like his normal voice acting roles that he does too. So if you see him at a con, go say hi, check him out. I'm not sure what he's doing now just because he's pretty much cut himself off from Crunchyroll, but he's put so much work into this genre that we all love. So I want to make sure that he feels appreciated. So go give him like a follow on Twitter or on his socials. And then, like I said, if you're at a con, check him out too.
It's so exciting to see putting this calendar together and trying to pick 12 BL anime that are not cancelable today. It's so cool to see the trajectory of where this genre started out and where it is now. And the only reason it could have had that transformation is trial and error. And when people want to say that it's weird to be a fujoshi or it's weird to like BL or whatever, the only way to have good representation is to have it and to have people watch it, consume it, critique it, and then evolve it. And I am happy to be a part of that process, and thank God for people like him who are intrinsically involved in that process. You got to start somewhere, and you can only get to where we are now with a lot of practice and a lot of product. And we have enough BL, thank God, to pick from it and be like, what is the cream of the crop now? And what are the stories that we can let go of? Because there's definitely coming to BL at my ripe age of 28. I guess I was 27 when I found it, but I was like, oh, can I just start here with Love Stage? No, you can't. That is not going to be the best place to start. Yuri on Ice is going to be a great place to start. Skate the Infinity is a great place to start. I would absolutely recommend anybody now, if they're reading BL manga or starting to ship anime characters and consider BL, I would say Stranger by the Shore immediately, right off the bat. I would This is such an easy recommendation. 10 out of 10, no notes. I loved it. And again, we couldn't have gotten this far in the genre and have such good representation now if we hadn't started somewhere. And so
Yeah.
you can't fault those early works for what they were at the time, because you know that's at the time, it's what we had. And I'm so grateful that we've built on that into something we can be really proud to read and share with other people. And then those other stories are fun to look back at as like a tome of history and be like, yeah, that's how that used to be back in 1999. That's how people
it's so funny because I had never seen Love Stage, and I went back maybe last month and I was like, I'll watch it. And I was just like, wow. I mean, it was one of those things where like I had put it on the background. At a point I was like, all right, this is my new background show. Like it's just gonna exist back there. But it's also funny because like you see the voice actor for Adam, like what he has done to dubs, right? Like because he's directed so many, his ad libs on like the bitches, bros, and non-binary hoes. And so like he's so good at like matching up the lip flaps, but also like being chaotic. But you can see it as early as in Love Stage. So even though like if you go back and watch it, even though like yes, it's older and maybe it's not up to snuff for like what is acceptable nowadays and stuff like that, but it's just like the chaos, like it's got David Wald's name all over it. And so it's really, he does such good work from the directing front, because it's still, even though it's still entertaining.
I would say, yeah, Skate the Infinity is a perfect example of how voice actors do need to sometimes steer away from a direct translation in order to match the mouth movements with the words. And Skate the Infinity, that dub is so good. It is primo. Because did the OVA have, I think I watched do you say OVA or OVA?
OVA.
The OVA, I'm like talking about it like it's an egg. The OVA, I think I watched it initially with subtitles. Where I'd watched the first season. I'd watched
oh my gosh, me too. I didn't even bother with the English.
Yeah,
I need this now.
I need it now. So I watched it in sub, but you kind of miss out on the dub ad-libbing, like you were saying, which can be so entertaining to see how they match the words perfectly with their mouth, even though the translation isn't going to be exactly direct, like the bitches, bros, non-binary hoes. There's so many moments in Skate that are just like literally laugh out loud. I don't have that on the calendar because I only did series that I've already watched before, but I hope to do like a little bonus episode on it because that's such a special series. So he was good. He was the director in Stranger by the Shore, but he wasn't actually a voice actor in it.
I don't think so. I'm looking at his like discography. I don't have discography right now, but no, I don't think so.
He wasn't either of our.
Oh no, I lied. He was Shun's dad, so he had like a line.
Yeah, he had a line, and it was, "I can't believe you're gay. I disown you," or something.
Could you imagine being David Holden, that being the line that you have to say?
I literally like, this is the line. You ran away from your bride and now you're telling me you like men?
Yeah, okay, no, that's what okay, see, that's better. Yeah, that is, yeah.
Oh, that's so funny. and he plays Adam, so he's just really getting stuck with the villains. So, okay, to wrap up, let's go. That's our full discussion of The Stranger by the Shore. And now we're going to go into my favorite part of the show, which is discussing your delusional boyfriend from this series. I will give you a second and tell you who my delusional boyfriend was. My delusional boyfriend from The Stranger by the Shore is Ari, the lesbian who lives at the boarding house.
No, that's not fair. I was going to ask you if I could do the same thing, but I was like, no, she's going to get mad because I never want to pick a boyfriend.
No, you can pick Ari. You can pick Ari. We can share her. She is absolutely the best character in this story. She is bold herself. She's hot, first of all. She is openly and outly gay. She is living her dream with her girlfriend. She is good at giving advice. She's a good friend. She's a hard worker. Everything about Ari, she moves this whole plot along. There would be no story without the sassy lesbian neighbor, and I'm obsessed with her. So she can be both of our delusional boyfriends for this one.
Yay! Oh, that makes me so happy because honestly, yeah, I was like sitting at this and I was like, man, I really just like the lesbian.
I just like because to be honest, Mio is very young, and Mio has a lot of baggage and a lot of trauma. He is definitely not somebody that I would date in real life until they figured their shit way out.
And they need more than 2 years away to grow before.
Oh yeah. I would like to see Mio as a 30-year-old bisexual and then see if he's the kind of man I'd be interested in. But he's one thing we didn't talk about is he's a huge crybaby top. Like he cries all the time.
Yes.
He's constantly crying, and I'm all for expressing your emotions, but most of the time I'm like, I am going to be the crybaby, so I need you to be a rock. And Ari feels like she could be my rock. And then as far as Shun goes, I got a writing degree and I'm kind of a tortured writer, and I could never be.
I can't.
No, I'm not going to sit here and both of us bitch about our writer's block and both of us be agonizing over fictional characters. I need somebody to like go make money in this relationship. It's not going to be me.
Hey, his one thing won a prize or something.
Yeah, won a prize or something. So definitely neither of the main characters were gonna be the delusional boyfriend, but Ari, would you date Ari in real life?
I think so.
Do you identify as bi or pan?
Pan, yeah.
Same here. And Ari like checks all the boxes for who I would be looking for, like intellectually, emotionally, physically. She's got it all going on.
She's giving like either it's like the protective red cat, or if you're doing dogs, since we did black cat, golden retriever, but it's that like Doberman where it's like you can like she's like no nonsense whatever, but then like fierce too, but then like sweet on you and stuff, and I just like yeah.
I love when she's talking about her girlfriend at one point. Mio is like, why do you two seem to get along so well? Me and Shun never get along. And she goes, duh, she's a sweetheart and Shun is an awful little goblin. The way she is so sweet on her girlfriend and so upfront and bold with the boys is like, it's everything to me. That's the kind of like straightforward person that I need. And as far as she measures up to my delusional anime boyfriends, like I would say Victor is usually my number one that I point to if we're talking about like, yeah, because my other anime boyfriend would definitely be Gato, but Gato's a hard one because in real life, could I date Gato? Yes. But would I have to go underground and be a part of a bunch of heinous organizations that I don't agree with politically?
Maybe in an alt universe situation.
An alt universe situation. I don't know. I could stick by my man. God, no. That is like,
I can fix him. If Gojo couldn't fix him, you can fix him.
So, like, usually I don't pick one of those anime boyfriends. Usually I pick Victor as my number one because he's everything. Victor's perfect. He is the perfect spouse for Yuri, and he is, I mean, a beautiful athlete who I could watch skate all day. He's usually my number one. So I'd say Ari probably doesn't dethrone Victor for me. Our last discussion, you said Choso was your number one delusional boyfriend since you couldn't break up any of the canonically headcanon married couples. How would you say Ari compares?
I thought of another one. So it's so funny that you asked, and like I told you, like my mind went blank when I was like, oh no, I've forgotten every single anime I've ever watched. And mind you, at like my bachelorette party, one of my friends did a simp roast of like 10 of my like, and I've done similar like simp roasts like on my podcast too. And so like I know who I think is hot. Like there's Yami from Black Clover. Like there, like hello, Joe from Skate the Infinity, and it's just like, wait, why did I forget every single like whatever?
Are you a Joe girl and not a Cherry girl?
Yeah,
I'm definitely a Cherry girl.
Interesting. Yeah. No, I don't. I feel like I gravitate towards the like the beefier men characters, and then usually just like the really strong female characters too, like the bunny teacher from My Hero Academia, whose name always escapes me, the one that Megan
Mhm.
Thee Stallion did a phenomenal cosplay of, and Mitsuri from Demon Slayer, like just like the really strong badass women are the ones that I gravitate towards, and then like the himbo dudes are the ones that I normally gravitate towards. But this is all to say, in my simp roast, I had put Victor in there, but I was like, I don't care what your roast is, because like I had done a similar roast for my other friend when she had her bachelorette party, and I was like, while yes, he is a 10 out of 10, he is not your man. Like there's never more of like a I if you home wreck them, it isn't on site. But honestly, you never could home wreck them anyway because they're meant to
No,
be together.
you could never. And
You could
like as
never.
far as delusional boyfriend goes, it's both like who I love and also who is the number one boyfriend to their boyfriend. And
Yes.
Victor is the best
He is
spouse to
best
Yuri.
boyfriend.
Best boyfriend award,
Mm-hmm.
100%. A little drunk guy came up to him at a party and said he wanted him to be his coach. And from that day, he had eyes for nobody else. He had time for nobody else. And he pushed that relationship forward until it was at the place where it needed to be. He took control and pride in this person in a way that completed their story so perfectly. So Victor is like, I wonder if anybody will be able to dethrone Victor, because he really is to me just a perfect man, a perfect character, and a perfect spouse.
Mm-hmm. The ultimate green flag.
The ultimate green flag. So then I guess that's all of our delusional boyfriend questions. So to wrap it up, Val, thank you so much for being here. This was
Yeah.
way more fun, to be honest, doing it with somebody else and doing it all
I
by
don't know how
myself.
you do it by yourself. I'm gonna be honest. It couldn't be me. So anytime if you are like, man, I don't know that I could talk. I don't know that I could yap about this one thing for an extended period of time. Let me know, girl, because I feel for you. There's no way I could do it. So yeah, hit me up whenever.
I will definitely be hitting you up, especially for more of the animes, because it's really fun to buddy watch. And a lot of these are ones you've probably already seen, but it's fun to bounce off of somebody. Speaking of Yuri on Ice, my brother asked if he could guest on an episode. And I was like, oh, I don't think so. I don't think I could talk to you about any of this, but he's a musician. He wrote the theme song for this show,
Yeah.
and he wants to play around with my equipment and see if he can get better sound quality. And he was like, if I can just guest on an episode, I can try to sound engineer that episode and see what we can do to improve. And I was like, there is almost nothing I could talk to you about. And he goes, I could watch Yuri on Ice. And I said, that actually, you could watch Yuri on Ice. And once you watch Yuri on Ice, you're going to quit making fun of me for loving this genre, because you're going to see
Yes.
how valid it is and how good the
Mm-hmm.
animation is and the storyline and everything about Yuri on Ice is priceless. So even though it's not on the calendar, I'll be doing more bonus anime episodes. So I'll absolutely hit you up for some of those. It's been so much fun. Thank you so much. Is there anything you want to plug for Girls Gaze Animes, new episodes, anything like that coming up?
Um. Why when I ask questions, I always forget everything that I've ever done. But you're having your brother on to do the like almost like the straight guy tries. I was gonna say when I had done my first straight guy tries episode, we had done Yuri on Ice, we did Skate the Infinity, we did Cherry Magic, and we did oh shoot, what was the fourth one? I can't remember. But the guy that I had on was like, oh, the Skate the Infinities where the gays, the non-binary hose line comes from. And I was like, yeah, he goes, I thought that was like an internet thing that someone like made up, but that was like the actual like scene. That was the actual dub. And I was like, yeah, that's funny. So
That's
yeah, but I'll just say, so yeah, give us a follow on our socials. Our most active socials, probably TikTok, but we're on YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, everywhere except for Twitch. We're Girls Gaze Animes. On Twitch, we're Girls Games Animes, GAYMES. The next episode, which I was going to release this week, but I have to re-record due to sound issues, is going to be I'm interviewing someone who I actually met at a convention. They were hosting a BL panel, and they actually are the CFO of a cosplaying while Black group, and so I'm going to be talking to her about cosplaying while Black as well as some BL and stuff like that. So when we re-record, that's like my next episode that comes out, and then we're doing another Straight Guy Tries probably at the end of the month, and we're doing Madoka Magica.
Oh, that is so exciting. I remember at the last Straight Guys Tries or in high school host club.
I'm never going to top that one.
You guys decided that you were going to do this one. What's it called? Mordecai Magic. What is it? Magica?
Madoka Magica.
Medica Magica. And I've never heard of or seen it. And when you guys plugged that at the end of the Orin High School episode, I was like, maybe I should do a buddy watch and watch along before I listen. So I'm really excited to hear them come back. I love that series. The Straight Guy Tries. So funny.
They're so fun. They're so fun. For anyone who hasn't heard of Madoka Magica, it's like a cult classic, but it's like psychological thriller magical girls, but it's sapphic. So
oof. Oh my gosh.
What more did you ask
for? I did not even catch that at the plug at the end of the last episode. I thought we were doing regular gay, but we're doing girl gay. I am so happy for that. I'm absolutely going to tune in. Yay. And also, I'd just like to say, if you guys do see a cosplayer come across your For You page who is Black, make sure that you follow and support, because algorithms, historically, factually, they suppress them. They don't push them out as much. So please do everything you can to support cosplayers out there, especially smaller cosplayers or diverse cosplayers, because usually, you know, the straight, white, blonde people do really well as far as stats and getting out in front of people on the algorithm. But make sure if you love cosplayers that you do your part to support everybody, because that's a really fun part of the fandom. And I don't think that we would have such an engaging and fun community without the cosplayers. They really do make up a big part of the fun.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here. Guys, make sure you follow us on our Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Delusional Boyfriend Book Club, or Delusional BF Book Club everywhere. We have new podcast episodes on the 5th, the 15th, and the 25th, and then bonus episodes sprinkled in where I can. If you're not subscribed to us on YouTube, please do.